Hello everyone, I thought I would give you a little walk and talk here today. We're welcome to the eastern townships of Quebec. This is a little town called Cowansville where I live. And this is the little tiny park that's behind our shopping mall. I like to come here and walk sometimes, so that's what I'm doing this morning. So I thought I would give you a little walk and talk and maybe talk a little bit about health and weight loss history for those that might be interested. But anyway, let's first just look at the scenery, I guess. The fall colors are just about at their full range now, all the way from green all the way up to the bright reds. So this is like a perfect time for sightseeing. Yeah, so I'm on a little bridge that goes over the little walking bridge that goes over the river. And geez, this is gonna be really shaky. I apologize. Anyway, this is bridge, and this is sort of the residential area over here on the right, and that's the French elementary school over there in the background. We're not going to walk that way because that's kind of boring. Who wants to see a bunch of houses, right? I'll give you another shot of the river. This is another little bridge over there. I think it's actually the railroad tracks, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, let's keep walking. It's a really nice day. I was heading out to do some shopping and decided I would stop in here and go for a little walk. This is going to be a walk and talk with lots of moments of silence. Because whenever I see someone, I'm going to stop talking. Because I look crazy enough as it is. I don't need any help. Okay, I'll stop here so it'll actually focus a little bit. That's our shopping mall, which is sort of up the hill and across the road. But this is one of the reasons I like this little park. I mean, it's not very big. It's not very popular, but I mean, it's right near the downtown core, and there's lots of places to sit, and it's quiet, and you get to see the river, and if you're lucky there'll be a flock of ducks or geese or something that land, and that's always fun. Yeah, so this is sort of the back entrance to our shopping mall that no one uses. That used to be a public library, but amazingly, they got flooded. The river's way down there, and somehow they got flooded up here, and they had to move. So we've got, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a back of the shopping mall with its wonderful graffiti. I don't really appreciate that too much, but you know, it's all part of the sights. Yeah, so I wanted to talk a little bit about weight loss history. I'm not going to come at you and be one of those guys that say that we tried every weight loss plan there is, and you know, have gone up and down in weight like 100 times, because it's just not the case. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe it's because I'm a guy and, you know, we're not influenced by that quite as much. You know, our image and whatnot. I mean, obviously it's important, but, you know, our magazines aren't always full of weight loss things. They're more full of muscle building sort of ads, and that's the kind of ideal that people get pushed into as a guy. So that might be one reason. The other reason is a lot of these are kind of expensive, and I'm on a fixed income, so I don't really care for those. I mean, stuff like the Nutrisystem or Weight Loss or Weight Watchers or Atkins. I mean, they're okay, but they're a little bit expensive, a little bit out of my range. So I never really did those. I think the first diet that I can remember doing was my last year of high school. And so I was about, I guess 16 or 17, something like that. And I was on a diet called the Pritikin diet. It's kind of funny, I actually looked it up the other day. And at the time I thought it was so strict because you had to measure everything. You had to weigh everything. You had certain amounts you could eat each meal, and you had to eat like so often, and I thought it was really strict, but looking back at it, it's kind of what I'm doing right now. I mean, there was a higher component of carbs and whatnot in it, and fruits and whatnot, but really it's kind of similar to what I'm doing right now. Maybe we'll stop here and get the camera to focus on there. The sun's really out, so you probably got a lot of glare. But anyway, that was the first diet that I remembered, and I don't remember my weight. I'm gonna actually ask my doctor next time I go in to see my principal care doctor, because he's been my doctor all my life. So if anyone's gonna know, it's gonna be him. So I'll have to ask him. But yeah, I lost quite a bit. I think it was maybe 30 pounds or 40 pounds, something like that. 10 pounds a month kind of thing. It was good. And that got me into college, and I guess from there the diet just kind of deteriorated, because it's, when you're going to college you don't have a lot of money, so ramen noodles, Kraft dinner, pasta, that was the thing. Oh, here we're coming up on somebody. So I'll just give you a shot of the lake over here. It's kind of nice. No wildlife today. Yeah, so that was the first one that I actually remembered dieting, was back in the last year of high school. And I never really dieted after that, to be honest, until I had some health issues, maybe back in 2002 or something. And I talked about that before. I had my liver disorder, and my weight had jumped up to about 407 pounds, and that was huge. And I was in the hospital for that for about, I was in the hospital for almost a month, I guess. I think I dropped about 30 pounds really quickly, most of that being water weight from the inflammation and whatnot, but some actual weight as well. So my weight loss history is kind of punctuated by my health issues, and that's sort of how I frame it, so that's how I'm going to be talking about it. I think we'll have a little seat here. We're coming up on our first of many, many park benches. So I'm going to have a seat so I can actually talk to you guys. I don't get too bored with just looking at blurry shots of whatnot. Yeah, it's a nice little shot. Yeah, so that was my so I mean that got me down to 370, somewhere around there. And at that time I was on a really strict diet, because obviously with liver problems you have to have an extremely low fat diet, and I was eating a lot of foods that were sort of considered anti-inflammatory. So I was at that for 6 months, maybe a year. I wasn't really documenting it, so I didn't know. And I had gotten myself down to 319 pounds, which was pretty decent, just with the regular eating and, keeping limits on quantities, and definitely keeping the fat. I mean, the fat was the real push at the time, so I kept the fat really, really low. And that was 319, like I said. And then it crept up a little bit as, I was starting to feel better, and I don't know what happens when you feel better, you start to eat more. It's kind of stupid, but whatever. So I think it crept back up to 325, and then 330, and then I had my next major thing was I'm about 3 years out from my liver problems at this stage, and I had been on prednisone for 3 years. And if any of you have ever been on a corticosteroid, you'll understand that well, first of all, losing weight on a corticosteroid is kind of a big deal, because you're absolutely ravenous the whole time. And the way I dealt with that at the time was that, I had vegetables galore around me ready to go, so I never really had to worry about getting too hungry. But along with that, you also get a lot of water retention, and I was diabetic because of that at the time. And but the real clincher from being on prednisone for 3 years is bone problems because you lose a lot of calcium. And what I didn't know at the time was, because I had this autoimmunity disorder, I had a predisposition to osteoarthritis. So, not osteoarthritis, osteoporosis, sorry, degenerative backbone disease. And so about 3 months on prednisone, and I started to have back problems. And I actually became one of those guys that you hear about in the news. And I don't know, some people have talked about this, was my back problems got really bad. My weight, had probably gone up to, 350 or somewhere around that range. And I was living in the basement of my sister's house at the time. It was a furnished basement with bathroom and all that stuff, but still it was a basement, so I had to go up the stairs to get out. And with my pain in my back, I actually became one of those guys that was stuck in the basement. I was stuck in the basement for about 2 weeks because I just couldn't get up those stairs with my back problems. Like, I'd go up one step and I would be in extreme agony, and I'd be worried about, making it up and making it back down. And it was just a real emotional and physical tough time. So, and somewhere during that time when I was stuck in the basement, I actually went to the washroom and I sat down really hard on the toilet, which at the time was one of those low-rise toilets, and my back just collapsed. I had collapsed my L1 vertebrae, and I let out such a scream. You would not imagine. It was probably the most pain I've ever had in my entire life. And well, that did me in. So from there I had to call an ambulance, and had the 2 ambulance drivers and 2 policemen help me get onto this stretcher type thing and haul me out of there. So that was not a fun time. And then from there I was in the hospital again for another month or so, because I basically couldn't walk. I had a walker, and it took me about 2 weeks to get onto the walker and actually be able to walk around the halls of the hospital. They were looking for convalescence homes and that kind of stuff for me, but I was improving, so another week or 2 there and I was ready to return home. I could do stairs all right and everything, but my back had taken a serious hit, so physical activity from that point on, I just avoided it because the pain was just too much. So that just continued the decline, as you can imagine. But I was doing okay. I was forcing myself to walk a couple times a week. It wasn't too bad. Coming up to more people, so I'll be quiet here. So I was doing okay. I was feeling better. My liver problems were gone, and my back pain was resided because I was not pushing myself, and activity level was low. But I was still in pain a lot, but it wasn't debilitating. And at this point, it had become time to take a look at my liver and see, how medications were working, and how bad off my liver had become and all that stuff. When I was originally diagnosed, I was on stage 3 on 4 fibrosis of the liver, which is pretty bad, but at that time it sort of was reversible. As long as you're fibrosis, you're still okay. Anyway, it became time to do another biopsy of my liver. So I had a transjugular biopsy of my liver at that time, and the results of the things were okay. There was some signs of cirrhosis, but it wasn't too bad. My doc told me that you didn't need a lot of your liver functioning to get along, so that was fine. But in the operation, you have to be on your back for a really long time. I don't know how long the procedure actually takes, but probably, half an hour, which is excruciating for me on a flat surface. And I had to keep my knees up, and I don't know, I guess the doctor maybe wasn't used to that, and well, long story short, he punctured my liver, and I was bleeding out basically for about a month, in and out of hospitals, and I was in the hospital for like 2 weeks straight, them trying to figure out what happened, having endoscopies and colonoscopies and camera endoscopies and all this other ridiculous stuff, and I was just telling them, it's like, look, I just had a biopsy. He poked a hole in my liver. It's not rocket science. You need to go in and patch it up. So eventually, I gave up on the local hospital and went to see my gastroenterologist in the city, and he fixed me up like right away. Got me to the hospital, and they had to go in and do a embolization of my liver. So I lost about a quarter of my liver. Like, they just cut off the blood supply to it with some kind of a cauterizing thing. So I carry that around still. It sort of feels like it's on the right side of my liver that they did it, and kind of feels like I'm carrying around a piece of wood. And when my blood pressure or my heart rate gets up, I really feel it. Like it's an impediment to exercise for sure. So yeah, so that knocked me out again for a few more months, and it was a slow decline along those, depression and just being, unhealthy from all my back problems and liver problems, and I'd gotten back up to 376, and I was like, oh God, not again. So all this time I had my referral for my weight loss surgery, and eventually I went through with it. And I lost, as I mentioned, I think in my first video, that I lost about 10 pounds waiting for the surgery date over like 5 or 6 months. And that got me to 366 when I started my pre-op diet, and I was 2 weeks later, I was ready for surgery at 350. And now we are almost at 6 months from surgery. We will be next week. And I am down to, under 245, so that's 105 since surgery. Ooh, my battery's getting low. Must be a long video. So anyway, so that's my weight loss history. Didn't do a lot of those diets that a lot of you mentioned. And when I did diet, I don't think that I really did it right. I mean, I wasn't tracking as I am now. I wasn't as determined as I am now. I wasn't as strict as I am now. I would still have, a few big meals a week and binges here and there. And it's really amazing when you think about it. I mean, when I think about it now, it's like, yeah, sure, you can keep yourself to, a 1,200 calorie diet a day before weight loss surgery. But 1 or 2 meals a week, and you can negate all those efforts. You have a 3,000 calorie meal, once a week, on top of like regular meals that day. Probably like 4,500 calories that day, and over a week that negates all your efforts. So that's why it's really hard to lose weight prior to surgery. So, and you get discouraged because the weight's not coming off, and then you stop. I mean, that's the routine that a lot of people get into. So, weight loss surgery is definitely a tool that you can use to make yourself more determined, and the weight does come off faster, and you have those restrictions that you can't binge, and you can't have those really high calorie meals anymore. So your efforts are more successful, and you're more encouraged, and you can keep it up longer. So that's my little weight loss history. I'm going to start heading back to my car because I actually need to do some grocery shopping today. Otherwise, I will not have food to eat tomorrow. Gonna hit up for some yogurt and some eggs and cottage cheese and all those breakfasty type things that I like to eat because I am completely out. So that concludes our little walk and sit and chat, and I hope you enjoyed a little bit of the scenery and its blurry nature. And hope everyone's having a good day.